Welcome to Focus Garage. Today we want to give you guys a kind of tips and what you need to do and all that stuff at the dealership buying a new car. Mike has created a great presentation a couple years ago which still stands true. You can still relate to the information, and we want to go through with you guys how to buy a car and not get ripped off, and what are the do's and don'ts, basically. So yeah. Let's start, Mike.
All right, so I've got my laptop here. I'm going to kind of be going through the different slides and relaying the information to you guys. So the overall title of this is just negotiating a car. You can use this on new cars and used cars, and private sell and dealer sell as well. So we're going to jump right into this. So starting with dealerships, there's a couple things you need to recognize straight from the beginning is that when you are dealing with a salesperson, they are not representing you. You don't need them, they need you. So many times I feel people feel victim to where, damn, they really have the exact car specification that I want, or, damn, I really like that guy, I want to give him the sale. And at the end of the day, you're making tens of thousands of dollars of a decision right here, and you need to realize that you are the one with the power. They need to make the sale to make a living, whereas you don't. There's hundreds of dealerships.
You can always say no.
Yep.
Don't forget to say no and get up and leave, because you have no obligation to that car or to that person till you sign the papers, basically.
Exactly. You owe this salesperson nothing. You have no obligation to buy the car at any point. And yeah, like Onder said, getting up, walking out, and leaving is always a strong negotiation standpoint because it scares them, puts the pressure on them. So salesman, represents the dealership. They don't represent you. They always want to sell you the car with the highest markup if you had a traditional dealership. So if you come in looking at one car and they try to push you to another, it's probably because they're going to make more commission on it. The dealer has less invested into that car, more profit margins there. You need to get an idea, or the salesman is trying to get an idea of what kind of knowledge you do or don't have about vehicles and financing. So if you come off looking like an idiot, they're going to assume you're an idiot. They're going to try and sell you high interest loans. They're going to sell you crap you don't need for the car. These are all things you have to be very aware of. So, obviously they're going to feel you out if they're a good salesman and get an idea of what you know and what you don't know. And also a salesman's job at a dealership, or a saleswoman, salesperson, have you, their goal is to have a fast turnover. The quicker they get a car in, the quicker they get it out, the more money they can make, the more vehicles they can sell. All right. They have to work to find financing for you if you're not paying cash for the vehicle, and the real pitfall of this is you're at the mercy of whatever rate they offer you. So because of this, always shop your own financing if you are planning on financing a vehicle. Look at the bank that you bank at, look at credit unions, even look online to see what different websites are offering for financing, because that will get you the true rate. If you buy a vehicle through a dealership, you're going to be at whatever rate they offer you, and chances are they get you approved at a lower rate. Say they offer you, like a 10% rate, they probably have you already approved at 6 or 7, and they're going to take that 3-4% markup, and guess what? Every single month, they're making 3-4% off your loan without you ever even knowing it.
And also, when you find a lower, let's say you find a 4% or 3% interest at a credit union, and if you bring that paperwork to them, there's a high chance they will match that price. They will match all the terms, because they want to
sell you the car.
Yeah, they all want to sell the financing to you as well, because they want to, when they make an entire package, they make more money.
Exactly. And yeah, at the end of the day too, like Onder said with that, when you're getting outside financing, they're seeing the same credit score the dealer's seeing. So like chances are that rate that you're getting outside of the dealer is the same rate the dealer can give you. They just don't want to give you it. So when you prove to them I can get this rate elsewhere, they're going to want to try and match that. So with that, obviously, a salesperson is out there wanting to line their pockets. So the higher the rate they can sell you, the more stuff they can add in the car, the more commission they're going to make at the end of the day, and for themselves and for the dealer. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit real quick here on how dealerships make their money. Obviously, they make money on the front end by selling a car. On average, it's about a 20% markup for what they bought the car for compared to what they sell it to you for. On the back end of the dealership, you'll have things like financing, where we talk about that interest rate gouging, extended warranties that they'll sell you for the car, and add-ons like rust proofing, different packages like door ding packages, wheel packages.
And they also make money from the documentation fees and all that stuff. And that kind of stuff you cannot get away with. You have to pay for it. The other thing is they will get you with, I have seen it first person, they will fix the car, and they will have, like, let's say they replace a light bulb or something like that, and they charge you for like $300.
Yeah.
You can always say no. You can always negotiate that price too. I mean, obviously they did some service to that vehicle, and they should add that price in the price.
Should be built into the car. It shouldn't be an extra
and
fee.
it actually is, and they're just trying to get more money out of it. You can always call on their BS and then make sure that you can negotiate with that price.
Yep. Again, remember, they need you. You don't need them.
You don't need them. Yeah.
And then one more way that dealers make money real quick here is trade-in values. So, you know, whatever they sell, buy your car for you from versus what they sell it for. So, you know, they buy your trade-in for $5,000 and then they go and retail it for, you know, 10 to 12 grand. You know, that's all money. That's straight cash for them minus what they have to put into reconditioning of your vehicle. So those are just some quick ways that dealerships make money and how that operation works. Jumping right along into my next slide here, we're going to talk about a couple of common tricks with dealerships. One of them is called the Foursquare method. If you've ever bought a car, you've probably seen this before. It's where a dealer will literally bring you a sheet of paper, you know, divided into 4 cubes, and it's going to have numbers and stuff in all of them. One of them is usually going to be the trade-in price of your vehicle. Another one's going to be your financing terms. Another one's going to be monthly payments, and another one's going to be cash down and fees. What they'll do with this is it's basically the equivalent of somebody that's trying to rip off a cashier, where you give them $10 and you say, oh, my change is wrong, and then you try to get a different amount of change back and keep changing your bills for larger bills. They'll throw all these numbers out in front of you and try and confuse you. So they'll have this number for trade-in, and they'll say, well, if you give me this much trade-in, you only need to put this much down. And if you do that, this is how it affects your interest rate, but now your payments will change by this much. And they keep throwing these numbers around so quick that they try to confuse consumers, and most people that don't know what they're doing, you're like, okay, that all makes sense. They just agree.
They look at the monthly payment and they're like, oh, that looks pretty good. Yeah.
Yep. And I won't elaborate too much on that, but never buy a car by focusing on the monthly payment.
No.
You literally want to know what kind of interest you have, what the total price of the car is, and what you're getting for your trade-in.
Out the door price of the car.
Out the door. So focus on that. Don't ever say, I want my payments to be XYZ, because guess what? They'll make your payments that much, and they'll charge you whatever they want on interest, whatever they want for the car.
120 months. You know?
Yep, 120 months financing. So the Foursquare method, if somebody's pulling that crap, say, you know what, this doesn't work. Tell me what this car is costing me. Tell me what you're giving me for my trade-in. Tell me what my rate is. I don't want to see how one affects another, because truth be told, it doesn't. You can individually adjust each one of these.
And if they don't want to do it,
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
This Foursquare method is getting older and older due to consumer research. You've got the ability now to see what things cost, so you've got the upper hand with that.
Yeah.
Another one is something called a spot delivery scam, or it's also known as yo-yo financing. That's not really a yo-yo, but whatever. What that means is they'll basically sell you a car, and they'll say, hey, we got you approved a great rate, you know, it's 1.9%. They'll sell you the car, you sign the paperwork, and then you get a call and a couple days later or a week or so saying, hey, something fell through, that bank didn't want to finance you, but we can still get you approved. It's just going to be 10% instead of that 1.9%. And by the way, your payment changed $200. That happens often, and if you know, have this situation happen to you, tell the dealer, I want to return the car, or you need to honor that original financing. Otherwise, I'm going to get a lawyer. You sold me this car, told me I had this financing. I signed a contract saying I had this financing, and now it's gone. This is totally shady, totally legal. They cannot do this to you. You have options.
You have the upper hand in this situation because you signed a contract with them. They're saying that they're approving that price. So
yep.
You have
they have to honor that. They have to honor the payment, the financing, everything. But
cops are not going to come after you.
Yep. Cops are going to come after them for being a shady dealer. So yeah, don't ever feel pressured by that. That's a terrible, shady trick. Another one is bait and switch. They can do this in a couple different ways. The most common way is incentives that you don't apply for. You'll see online, and this is even on major websites like Cars.com, Car Gurus. Price of the car is, you know, $39,998. Our price is $24,999. And the reason they get to that is they literally incentive stack every incentive on their website, knowing it's physically impossible for you to qualify for all of them. So they'll have like a veterans discount, new graduate discount, EMT discount, Ford owner discount. And obviously, it is possible to get that price to this price, but only if you qualify for all the incentives, which isn't possible. So, you know, that's one way of bait and switch is the pricing. Also, they'll have a car online sometimes that they don't actually have. They'll have, you know, like one particular car, let's say if you're looking for a Honda Civic at a really, really low price, and you come in for that Civic at that low price, and they don't have that Civic, but they've got a Civic for like $2 or $3 grand more than that. You know, try and see if you can get them to honor the price of that first one. If not, they're just being shady with their advertising.
And the other thing they have used is that, oh, we have the wrong price up on our website. And you can print that out and take it to them and then see if they would honor it. If they don't, then go to a different dealer and you can bring that paperwork saying that, hey, they have it this much. Can you do it?
It takes shopping around, but your effort's worth it because at the end of the day, it's your money. Do you want to pay more or do you want to pay less?
It's a big purchase, you know. You have the upper hand. You can always say no.
Yep. And one more thing, another common tactic here is lowballing / highballing your trade-in. You always have to keep in mind that dealers will want to work with you to make it feel like you're getting a good deal. So, for example, this is usually how it'll work. They'll really give you a good price on what you're trying to buy, but they'll totally destroy you for your trade-in and give you nothing for it. Or if you're fixated on a good price for your trade-in, they're going to give you a great amount for your trade-in, but the car that you're buying, they're going to mark it up to offset that. It's one or the other. You know, if you get a good price on the car, they're going to, you know, give you nothing for your trade-in. If you get a good price for your trade-in, they're going to destroy you on the price of your car. So that's why you always kind of want to try and negotiate those separately. Have a set price in mind that you want to get for your trade-in, and a set price in mind that you want to buy the new car for.
And then the easy way to do that is you start talking price on the car that you want to buy, and then bring in the trade-in later, and then see what the true value is.
Yep. Some people argue that's a little bit deceptive to the salesperson, but at the end of the day, it helps because, you know, when you start shopping with the salesperson, tell them, you know, I don't know if I want to trade a car, and I might just be buying this on its own. And then once you get a good price on the car you feel comfortable for, be like, well, what will you give me for my trade-in? You know, because right from the beginning, if you say I got this car, I want to trade it in, they're going to be fixated on linking those two together.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to kind of fly through this here just because I don't want to make this video too long. There is more than just the sticker price of the car. So obviously, you know, everybody knows there's a window sticker with an MSRP on it. But there's a lot of things that go into it that'll affect that. There's vehicle options, vehicle registration fees, sales tax, document fees, tax savings on your trade-in, which I'm not going to completely elaborate on this one, tax rebates that you could be eligible for depending on what kind of car that you're buying, other car buying fees, and trust me, we've seen them all, dealer fees, destination charge, and advertising fees.
Oh, yeah.
All of these can get thrown on top of the price of a car. So your car that was $15,000 somehow has a sudden out-the-door price of $20,000, and you wonder how that happens. A lot of these fees are BS, and you can negotiate or even eliminate them if you question them about it. How fees are determined, things like title, tax, and tag fees are based on 5 factors. The state on where you live, the county on where the car is being registered, the weight of the vehicle in some certain circumstances, whether or not you have a trade-in, and then the type of license plate that you choose. There's obviously commercial plates, truck plates, regular plates, things like that.
Or you get vanity plates.
Vanity plates. These are all going to change kind of what you pay for registration and things along that nature. Consumers. These are basically points that you need to be well aware and alert of. Do your research, explore all of your financing options, including not at the dealer. Run an AutoCheck or Carfax vehicle history report on your car to make sure that there's no accidents, bad title issues, frame damage, anything like that. And then handle your trade-in separately if possible. You've got 2 main car buying options nowadays that will buy your car. Even if you don't buy one of theirs, look at Carvana and look at CarMax. They will buy your car on its own without attaching it to a deal. So you can always get a free appraisal from them and then take that to a dealership and say, like, well, CarMax is going to give me this much. You better at least match that. Otherwise, I'm going to go sell it to them.
Yeah, or you can always ask for more.
But keep in mind, if you do sell the car separately and don't use it as a trade-in, you don't get the tax savings from whatever that car is worth. So if it's an expensive trade-in, you do kind of want to be aware of what the tax savings are on that. Know what you want. Know what you can afford and put a budget together before you buy a car.
Not a monthly payment.
Not a monthly payment, but look at everything. Insurance, gas, and vehicle payment. And, you know, obviously if you're a car person, look at mods and things like that. But know what you can afford, know your budget, and know this before you go into a dealership. Don't go into a dealership and look at an Escalade and look at an Aveo at the same time. It's going to be annoying to the salesperson, and it's going to be annoying to yourself. You need to know beforehand, before you go into dealerships, what you want. Be careful with what you say and how you say it. As I mentioned earlier, these salespeople are snakes, and they do want to rip you off and make money off of you for the most part. So if you come off dim-witted or saying very uneducated things, they're going to know that, and they're going to try and take advantage of you. Turn down dealer add-ons. Most of that stuff, like, you know, rust proofing, you know, door ding protection, everything like that. It's just tire packages, yeah, winter care packages. It's all basically a sham where you're going to overpay and not get the benefit of what you're paying. And if you're properly prepared, you will have all the power. If you show up as a smart consumer, the dealer's going to recognize this, and they're going to try to work with you, and you're going to get a quick, clean, and efficient deal done if you know what you're doing. Since this is a car channel, I'm assuming most of you know a little bit about cars, but this may reach people all over the world. So I'm going to teach on a little bit of what to look for when you actually do test drive the vehicle and how to inspect it. Again, I'm going to rip through this here. If you have questions, let us know. For your initial inspection, look under the car for rust or any kind of bends or welds in the frame. Check the wheels and tires, make sure there's no bends or, you know, flat spots, rips, anything like that. Inspect the interior, inspect the exterior, look under the hood, and kick a tire. Literally kick a tire just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
be a tire kicker.
How it sounds. And also the other thing you could do is that you can lift the trunk, the liner, and then look inside the metal.
For water.
And then you water and the damage as well.
Yep, for bent trunk pan. And my favorite thing to do when looking at a car for repainting is run your finger, your thumb, along door jambs, hood jambs, and trunk jambs, If it's rough and feels like sandpaper, that means that car has been painted. Yeah. That's not always a bad thing. It could be painted just from, minor like keying or something like that, but it's also usually an indication the car's been in some sort of accident.
If you're very worried about accidents and all that
don't
stuff,
go for any car that's ever been painted. Yep, if you want to be really worried about accidents. Yeah. Paint is usually not good and it lessens the value of a car. When you're driving the car, if you can, start the car when the vehicle is cold. Don't start a car that's already been running. When the car is cold, you're going to have more symptoms like smoke from the exhaust, more rattles, just noises that you wouldn't normally hear once the car's already been warmed up. Check for test lights, like your check engine light, your ABS light, your traction control light. Those should go on when you first turn on the key and then go off and stay off. If any of those stay on, you have an issue. You do want to perform one hard acceleration and brake test, maybe a few, just to make sure the car doesn't hesitate when you accelerate and doesn't pull or shake when you brake. You want to make sure if the car's automatic that it shifts through the gears normally, or if it's manual, make sure you can get into every gear properly. Take a few hard turns, make sure there's no clunking or weird noises from the suspension or steering. Drive with the windows down and radio off. I know you're going to want to be excited to see how the Beastie Boys sound on the stereo, but don't do that right now. You want to do the drive with the windows down and radio off to listen for weird noises with the vehicle. And drive down a bumpy road. This, again, will let you feel the suspension, the steering, and everything like that.
And then real quick is that make sure that your engine bay is dirty. If engine bay is washed clean, that's a sign of they're hiding something.
So we're back, and everything died all at once. The laptop, the GoPro, so we got chargers, we're ready to rip. Right back into it here. We're going to go through a car buying strategy checklist. First thing is get these salesmen to name the price of the car. You could pull the old, saw this car online for this much, how much is it really? Get them to name the first price rather than you, because if you name the first price, they're only going to want to negotiate higher from what the price you want is. If they name the price first, you can break them down more and more and more, and never reveal the price that you want to pay. You're going to mention that you looked at a pricing guide, something like TrueCar.com, Kelley Blue Book, NADA, Edmunds, and say, hey, I looked online, this car is worth this much, I'd like to pay that. I understand you're asking this much, but people aren't paying that for this vehicle. Bring a wingman or wingwoman, basically someone to help, one, you keep your sanity so that way your emotions don't get involved and you love the car and you make a bad decision. But two, to play good cop, bad cop with. Have the person that you're with point out flaws with the car. Hey, like, tell the salesman, hey, my friend noticed that car's scratched. It's got a little bit of a dent there. Whatever. Oh,
be the Debbie Downer. Like that person needs to be. So
yeah, talk the car down, make it look less than it actually is to the salesman, and they're going to want to kind of work.
Also, that could be a reality check for you too. Maybe like they found
you didn't notice that stuff.
You didn't notice, and you're not going to like that.
Yep. When the salesman leaves, you leave. If you're in their office and they're like, let me go check to my manager, you'd be like, you know what? That's fine. You don't have to. Leave. Don't let them have the power. That's always a power trip for them, is when they go to check with a manager about something. Don't let them do that. There should be no running back and forth to a manager 100 times. If they're going to walk away, do them the same disservice they're doing you. Get up and leave. Never finalize without leaving the lot. Now, this can be hit or miss with a lot of people, but it serves a couple purposes. One, they may negotiate farther to get you back, and two, it helps you clear your mind and keep a level head. So, when negotiating a car, unless you're getting an excellent deal based on what you've seen, leave, walk it off. Even if it's not getting in your car and leaving the dealership, walking around the lot, just getting out of that office.
Go for lunch or something like that.
Getting out of that negotiated situation. And if the car sells while you're on lunch, wasn't meant to be. Shop multiple dealerships. It's very unlikely that the first place you go to, especially when you're buying a new car, which are all spec the same, it's going to have the best price and the best deal for you. Look around, and you can use that as negotiating power. Be like, I was just at this dealer, one town over. This is what they were offering. Can you beat that? Chances are they want your business. They're going to try and beat that.
Yeah, you can always use that technology on your hand, like on your benefit, because you can always pull up the Auto Trader, TrueCar, whatever, and then show them this is what they're.
Yeah, people are literally paying this for this car.
So like,
why can't you give me that?
Yeah, unless you gave me that, I'm gonna walk my butt over there and buy that car.
Yeah, exactly. And when making your first offer, give good reasoning as to why you're making that offer. Don't obviously, if they're asking 20 grand for the car, don't offer them 10 grand for it, because one, you probably need financing and you're not going to get them 10 grand cash. And two, it
becomes that you're uneducated at that level of negotiating, because that's disrespectful to the person. Even though you're working with a salesman, which is a sneaky person,
you need to make a reasonable offer.
They're going to be like, what, this person is unreasonable
they don't know
to
what
work
they're
with.
talking about.
I'm not going to give him a good deal, even if they buy the car.
Because remember what we said, come off educated, watch what you say. Making an offer that's half of what the asking price doesn't make any sense. So stick to around 15% below asking price of the car. That's usually within that fair negotiation range. You give an offer and then remain silent. So you say, hey, once you're going through the negotiating, you make your price offer on the car and then shut up. Don't say why you said that. Don't, second guess yourself and change your number. See what they say. If you make an offer that's fair and that's an offer you want to pay for the car, say it and stick to it. you're going to make a counteroffer in smaller increments than theirs. Excuse me. So if you come down at a certain price and then they counteroffer a very large amount, come down in smaller increments. You need to break them down and make them realize that you have the negotiating power here because it's you that's buying the car and not them. Worry about your budget, not theirs. A dealer is going to try and make you feel sympathy for them a lot of the time. They're going to be like, well, we have this much into the car.
I'm not making money from this car, but that's not your problem.
It's not my problem. If I know what's a fair price for the car, what I'm going to pay, I don't care what your dealer paid for it.
Yeah.
I don't care that you're not making commission on it. I don't give a crap about your sob stories. Don't worry about their side of the story. This is your purchase. It's your car.
They made a bad financial decision at the beginning. That's not your problem.
Exactly.
You're not their, financial aid.
Exactly. And one key thing is you can shop at the end of the month. A lot of the times dealers do have more incentive to sell your car at the end of the month because they are sales goals and incentive based off how many vehicles they sell month over month. And also look online. Certain websites, I think like Car Gurus, will say how long a vehicle has been online.
Yeah.
So use that to your negotiating power. If a dealer's had a car, usually over anything over 30 days is long for a dealer.
Yeah.
So if they've had a car 60, 90 days, they want to sell that, and they're probably going to be more flexible in price. And you can tell them that too. Hey, I saw you've had this car for 60 days. One, have a red flag. Be like, why hasn't this car sold? Is there something wrong with it? But two, a lot of times it's just there's a small market for that car. You can get a good price.
I have an example of one of my buddies looking at he's at a Porsche dealer looking at this SUV, and it's been there for like 60 days. It's because it's not a car a Porsche guy would buy. It's like kind of high miles, whatever. It's been sitting there, so they want to get rid of this car. And when he went in there first, they did not give him what he wanted.
No.
And so what he did, he walked away. Now the salesman has contacted him trying to make a deal.
Better price?
Yeah, better price,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because every time they call you, that means even if they give you what they told you at the dealer, that's not true. They're ready to go over the price because they need you. They
know
need
you're not,
your money.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not going to come back in the door for the same price you left at,
Yeah.
so they need to offer you a reason to come back.
Exactly. Don't fool.
And so right with that, how you're saying your friend walked away, this goes right into my next slide here, is don't be afraid to walk away if any of the following are happening. If they are trying to charge you for a vehicle history report, do not pay. That means they are hiding something on that car. Any dealership in today's age should be able to write a history report on any car on their lot. If they cannot, they are hiding something. Don't run it yourself. Don't pay for it. Not worth it. Leave. If they start using hardballing tactics, meaning that they're like, we can only honor this price if you buy today or in this hour, leave. Because guess what? There's 100 other dealerships that are going to offer the price whenever. Or if they get stubborn, if they start pushing back saying, we don't know about that, or this is our firm offer, nothing can change. If they're being stubborn, they're being rude, again, leave.
Go
ahead.
Another thing is that if you have a trade-in and they went and take a look at the car and the deal is not happening, they're like suddenly lost the key.
I was just going to say that. Yep, go ahead.
They can't find the key. Immediately tell them, you either find the key and bring the car in 5 minutes or I'm calling the cops.
You stole my car.
You stole my car, yeah. That's big no-no, and a lot of people do that, and you don't deserve that. That's something unacceptable.
Yep, you wouldn't believe the amount of dealers that still play the lost key trick in this day and age.
That's a no. Like that happened to me once, and I was trading in my car G35. They're like, oh, we can't find the key, and we're looking at it. I told them, you have 5 minutes. You either find the key or I'll call the cops.
Because you stole my car.
Suddenly, my key appeared in a minute. They're like, oh, we forgot it in the car. It was always in the car. I'm like,
oh, okay.
How stupid are you?
Yeah. It's just a tactic. They want to scare you. Oh, if you can't find my keys, I guess I'll trade it in. Yeah. And another flip side of that, too, is if you're in the office negotiating on the price of the car and a sales manager or some other salesperson walks in and they want the keys for the car you just drove because they suddenly have a customer that wants to drive that car too, they're trying to scare you. Be like, you know what? That customer can have it. I'm not interested. Yeah. If they are suddenly somebody that's at the exact same dealer for the exact same car that you are, chances are it's a lie. They want to put the pressure on you. Just leave. It's not worth playing their games. And get to know this is something that's a little bit more negotiating tactic, but it's your best alternative to negotiated agreements. So meaning that if you don't buy this car, what are your options? So be comfortable knowing that with yourself and know the dealer's walk-away price. So kind of walk in there and have a set idea that if I don't buy this car, I'm going to do XYZ, go to XYZ dealer. So don't ever feel bullied. Yeah. That's basically the moral of that.
If this changes, of course, if you're like in a sudden need of car where your car broke down, you don't really have any options, and this situation gets tougher.
Yeah.
So like, but usually when 99% of the time, usually you have a driving car and you
buy a car when you
upgrade.
want to. Yeah.
You want to upgrade, so don't pressure. You know, you can drive your car a little bit more longer to look for another deal.
Exactly. So yeah, never feel pressured, never feel bullied. So one thing I want to do a touch on a little bit here is the difference of buying a new car versus buying a used car. Again, I'm just shoot through this list here for you guys. If you have questions, let us know. Benefit of buying a new car is you are the first owner of this car. So the nice thing about that is you'll be the first ones to fart in the seat. You'll be the first one to get the first paint chip, first one to get the first door ding.
If it's a manual car, you first want to 1-2-1 it.
Stall it, you know, whatever. But you'll be the car will be in perfect shape, or it should be in perfect shape if you're buying a new car. There'll be no past sketchy history to worry about. There'll be a full factory warranty intact. You know, little to no miles on the car. Most new cars come with some sort of roadside assistance for a couple months or a couple years, and you usually will always get better financing rates on a new car.
And also, you can option it the way you want it. That's another benefit.
Exactly. If you're ordering it, or you just have, there's more selection. You know, we were mentioning if you're buying a new car, chances are you'll be able to find many cars in the same color, the same configuration you want. Where if you're looking used, it's going to be much more limited if you're looking for specific options, specific colors. Benefits of buying used is usually it's going to be cheaper than a new car. You're going to avoid depreciation, so meaning the price will be better if you're buying a car that's a couple years old. You're going to have a bigger selection in the sense that you're going to be able to cross shop different things. You know, there'll be more out there.
Your budget would be more.
You get more for your money.
Yeah, bigger volume for your budget. Yeah.
Car insurance is usually cheaper on used cars, just because obviously the vehicle will be worth less. It'll be cheaper to insure. And there is certified pre-owned programs if warranty is important to you and you still want to have a car that if something goes wrong you're covered. You can look at certified pre-owned vehicles.
Which amazingly. Beautiful coverage, warranty. It's actually better than the factory
a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of the times, yeah.
Americans do buy more used cars than new cars. So every year, year over year, there are more used cars sold than new cars. So that is the more common way to go about it. And if you are buying used, buying a car that is 2 years old or more than that will result in the best pricing strategy. You know, if you buy a car that's 1 year old, a lot of times it just makes more sense to buy a new car. But anything that's more than 2 years old, you're really hitting that depreciation curve where it's going to make a lot of sense for you. You're going to be paying, you know, percentages less than what new would cost. Just for example, how quickly a car loses value, we're just going to give you kind of percentages year over year here. So when a car is new, we're going to use something called TMV, which is total market value. A car has 100% of its total market value. You know, it's brand new, it's worth its full price. As soon as you drive that car off the lot, 1 minute, that car is suddenly worth 9% less. It's now worth only about 91% of what the car was before it was titled, because it now is an owner. 1 year old, it's going to be worth about 81%. 2 years, 69%. 3 years, 58%, 4 years, 49%, and after 5 years, the car will be worth about 40% of what you paid for it when you bought it new. So that is something to keep in mind there. On a car that's about $30,000, the car is going to be worth, or it's going to suffer about $18,000 worth of depreciation in the first 5 years. So, like I was saying, you know, buy a car that's 2-3 years old, you're going to be right in that sweet spot there. You're not going to take the big hit on that depreciation.
And this depreciation depends on the, you know, the car. You can't see that on a Subaru WRX.
Yep.
You would see
this is just the average.
You would see a much larger price drop on a luxury sedan too. So this is just an average to give you.
Keep that in mind. Certain cars hold their values better than others. So that translates into the used market too. So certain used cars are going to hold their value a lot better than other used cars. This is just a little tidbit I want to touch on because they are one of the more unique dealerships in this. However, many dealerships are copying the style of CarMax here. So CarMax was one of the first really...
CarMax actually copy the stuff
from GM Saturn.
Yeah.
But they were the first ones to do this in like a used car industry.
Okay.
The no haggle thing. You're seeing a lot of this now with Drive Time, Carvana, stuff like that. But CarMax was the first big no haggle dealership. The price you see is what you get, so there's no running back and forth to managers, no Foursquare tactics, nothing like that. The company was actually based on a nationwide survey of what people like and don't like about buying cars. Turns out people hated the negotiation, even though a lot of people do get excited about that. The majority of people dislike that. They always feel they're being swindled. So all of CarMax's cars are certified. They go through an inspection process. They get reconditioned. You actually get a return policy with these cars. So you can actually buy one, and in the first few days, if you don't like it for whatever reason, you can return it, get your full money back, no commitment there. They do not sell cars with flood damage or frame damage. Their associates, this is a big thing, they're paid on a flat rate commission. So a lot of these dealers, like I was saying, they want to sell you more expensive cars, more options, because they're making more money on that. Whereas at CarMax, they can sell you a $50,000 car or a $15,000 car, and they're making the same amount of commission on it. So the salesmen don't really have to pressure you into something more expensive. And they're more of a customer service experience, whereas your traditional dealership is not really focused so much on that. I'm not trying to sell CarMax to anyone. I'm just saying that is one of the differences.
And also, you get a 30-day warranty on every single car that they sell.
And they do offer extended warranties.
Yeah, plus you get fantastic extended warranty. You can check out Doug DeMiro's Bumper to Bumper.
And how much he's saved on warranty claims, with his Ranger over there. So that's kind of just that. And then we've got consumer resources here. We're going to name a few big resources that you can use to buy cars. If you're buying a new car, you have to look at TrueCar.com. TrueCar.com will literally have real data on what people are paying in your area for specific cars with specific options. So you can go in there. If you're looking to buy a new Honda Accord, you can price one out, whatever trim level that you're looking, and it'll tell you, dealers in the area, what people are paying for that car.
What's the highest they paid, what's the lowest they paid,
and what you should expect to
pay. What's the average. Be a smart consumer. You always go for the cheap one, like when you look at the graph, go for the low end, but
just have an idea.
You're gonna have the average, that's a common thing.
Yeah, so TrueCar is really good for new car pricing. For used car pricing, you've got a couple of resources here. There's NADA, which is NADA, and then you also have Edmunds and Kelley Blue Book. When you're trading in a car or even buying a used car, price your car out on these websites. It'll tell you obviously what the car is worth in different conditions, and it'll tell you what it's worth in different scenarios. So if you're buying certified pre-owned just from a dealer or private party, it'll tell you where these cars price at. So if you're going to sell your car on your own, you can see what it's worth, or if you're going to buy a car from a dealer versus private party, you can also see what these vehicles are worth by using those resources.
And then the dealers are going to use the same thing to value your trade-in, except CarMax. CarMax have their own database. But
they use something called Black Book, which isn't accessible to consumers. It's basically auction data, what cars are being bought and sold for at auction.
They're going to go off from that data to... they're going to go off from Blue Book or the NADA to give you a price on your trade-in. So you can, before you go into the dealer, you can take a look at it. Yeah. And then also, don't lie to yourself. Know what your car is worth.
No.
Don't think that your fair trade-in is actually a good trade-in.
Condition and stuff like
good
that.
Condition.
Yeah.
And then make sure you know what the fair, good, and excellent is, because they will, going back to the shady dealers, they will go and say your very good car is in poor condition, and they will deduct stuff from that, because that poor condition already deducted, all the maintenance that needs to be done to the car.
And take this from me, somebody who's sold cars before. Don't get too emotionally attached to the vehicle that you're trading in. Many times people think their car is worth much more than it is just because they have an emotional attachment with it. They think that little dent on the bumper isn't as bad as it is. But look, from a dealer standpoint, they're going to have to replace and repaint that bumper.
Yeah.
And then also, never expect retail for your car. I don't know where people get this idea, but people will say, oh, you're selling my exact car for $15,000. Why aren't you giving me $15,000? Because the dealer wouldn't make any money.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. If you think you can get $15,000, go sell your car privately.
Yourself, yeah.
You can always expect, like I said, dealers are going to make 20% on average from the car. So deduct 20 to 30% of that $15,000, and that's what you should be likely getting for your vehicle. A big I love that. We tried to make this a short video. I think it's going to run over 30 minutes, so I'm just going to open this up to what I'd like to see in the comments below. Has anybody bought a vehicle recently? What was your experience like? Did you feel prepared? Did you feel pressured? And at the end of the day, were you satisfied with your deal? Did you use any of these resources, anything like that? And spin this around to you. Do you have final thoughts?
And if you have ever go back to that same deal, what would you do differently?
Yep.
Since you know all these techniques now.
Yeah, there's no worse feeling than walking out of a dealer feeling like you got a crappy deal.
Buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse is the worst thing, and if you buy from somewhere like CarMax or Carvana, you get a return policy.
5 days, yeah.
So if you do have buyer's remorse, guess what? You just send that car back. I changed my mind,
There are a lot of stories about people returning cars to CarMax.
Sometimes with reason, sometimes without, but we'll save that for another day. If you guys want to see that, let us know down below. But I definitely appreciate if you did listen all the way through this. There was a lot of good nuggets of information in here teaching you how to buy a used vehicle versus a new vehicle and just the benefits or cons of buying each. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this one, right?
And if you have any other questions, you can reach us at Facebook at Focus Garage or Instagram. We're pretty good at responding back. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. We do have a lot of car and bike content there in our in our channel. We do a lot of DIYs and reviews and news as well. Kudos to all.
We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for sticking with us on this one.